Alright, what's up guys? In today's video, we're going to take a look at what is the best SMG to use right now in Warzone. We're taking a look at what I think are the top 8 SMGs. We're going to compare their recoil, mobility, range, and then obviously overall time to kill, and how that factors in what makes these guns the best guns possible. So if you guys do enjoy, please leave a like, comment down below out of these 8 guns, which one is your personal favorite? And if you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. So the first things first, we're going to want to showcase their best class setups on the screen. The one biggest factor in the current meta, a lot of players have migrated away from using a grip, which you guys will see on the MAC-10, even some PPSH users, and the biggest factor, obviously with the colder MP5, I have it built for hipfire, the Fennec is built for hipfire, and the modern MP5 is built for hipfire, and then the Bullfrog and MAC-10 are built for mobility, so that's their best overall class setup. So what you guys will see on the screen now is the overall recoil of all 8 weapons. The LC-10 is clearly in a class of its own. You guys can see third gun from the left, extremely stable, and vertical recoil is extremely low. The LC-10 has the best range with the best accuracy, which is what makes it an easily top 3 SMG. The Fennec and the MP5, the reason the modern MP5 is still godly, it has the best hipfire, and in my opinion, the recoil pattern is extremely good. Even though it's not as stable, it has a low vertical recoil, which is the easiest to control. The 2 outliers you'll see on the negative end here are going to be the cold MP5, which you guys can see the first like 15 bullets kick hard. So if you're aiming for the chest, you're going to kick over their head with how hard this gun kicks. Then obviously with the MAC-10, a lot of players are building this for mobility. If you're not adding that grip on there, you guys can see your overall recoil is going to lose out a lot, in my opinion. And if you're stacking the Raider stock, your hip fire is also not as good, which is a huge negative in my opinion. But the PPSH is good. The Bullfrog is excellent. The 74U was extremely good. When you try to control the Bullfrog and the 74U and just pull down, their stabilization is godly. It's only vertical, which is the easiest to control. So LC-10 is king. The modern MP5 is still good. I have the Bullfrog and the AK-74U round out the top 4, and PPSH is okay. Alright, so what you guys will see on the screen is the ranges and the bullet velocity of all these weapons. Bullet velocity is pretty average for pretty much every gun. The 2 guns on the negative is the colder MP5 and the Fennec. The Fennec is atrocious, but in the base range, the 74U, colder MP5, and modern MP5, obviously in the low end, MAC-10, Bullfrog, Fennec, average. PPSH, LC-10 are king. One factor I want to take a look though is was their second range. So the gun shoots up to 10 meters, and then how far it actually kills in its second time to kill. And the second range is this number here. So the modern MP5 is still excellent. Even though it has the worst base range, it has the best second range. Cold MP5 is there, and then the MAC-10 is there. The one factor here in the range category was the PPSH only has 2 damage profiles, which immediately makes it king because all these other guns have 3. The one negative here obviously is that AK-74 uses only 5.5 meters, which is the worst, which range-wise is terrible. And then obviously the Bullfrog, which is a reason I'm not a fan of it. It's not the best in the range category, so when you factor in all those numbers, PPSH is clearly king. Second best base range, only 2 damage profiles is number 1. LC-10 is obviously second. The MAC-10 was third. It has excellent range, which is why it's a popular weapon. The second range is obviously top tier, and the Fennec was 4th. Even though it has the worst bullet velocity, range-wise, numbers-wise, it's the 4th best ranged weapon. And then when you take a look at their overall mobility, we have the ADS speed, movement, and stray speed. The one outlier you guys will see here is the MAC-10. ADS speed is very good. Movement speed with the Tiger Team Spotlight is the fastest. And your stray speed is almost 80%. Like I said, with that stray speed being at 77%. Some of the LMGs move at 80%. So you can almost stray fast, and some of these LMGs are moving, which will make the gun godly for the gunfighting ability. Stray speed's incredible. The big negative you'll see here is the Fennec is the worst ADS, lowest movement, and lowest stray speed, which is a Modern Warfare gun, which in my opinion is why we're going to rank it immediately as the worst weapon. Mobility-wise, it just doesn't compete. Range-wise is okay, but bullet velocity is terrible, stray speed is terrible, movement is terrible, ADS is terrible. I did include it because the time to kill is very good, but when you take a look at all the other numbers, it just doesn't compete. And then obviously colder MP5 is built for mobility. Stray speed is excellent, movement speed is excellent, ADS is on the low end, but it's built for hip fire. So, alright, so the last and final most important thing to look at is going to be the time to kill. We're going to take a look at how bullet velocity affects that, how headshots affect that, Then obviously how range affects that. Well, you guys will see on the chart, this is the base chart, all 8 weapons up to their base range, their overall time to kill. So the first fact you'll see when I want to take a look at comparing these weapons is close range, medium range, then anywhere beyond 20 meters. Close range, in my opinion, is under 15. Medium range is they're good from anywhere to 10 to 25 meters. Then long range would be anywhere above 20 meters. The guns are still godly. So in the close range, we have obviously both MP5s. We have the 74U and the Fennec. The reason the bullet velocity is important, you guys will see on the screen, is because with bullet velocity, it does lower your time to kill by a certain percent. So the Fennec is the worst. Cold MP5 is a close second. The 74U is clearly the best, and the MP5 for Modern Warfare is average. So you guys can see their range, their bullet velocity, their base time to kill, and then their time to kill at 10 meters. So what you can see is the actual percent of loss. Base time to kill, a lot of people don't understand how it works. This is point blank. To get a 603 or 526, you're point blank shooting chest shots only. If you go anywhere above 5 meters, bullet velocity is going to lower your time to kill. The biggest factor you'll see with that Fennec being only 300, you're almost 7.5% slower time to kill wise at 10 meters. Now mind you, if you take that all the way out to 18, you're going to lose a lot of time to kill. So you take a look at the Cold MP5, it's only about 4.7. Modern Warfare MP5 is a little over 2.5. So you're only losing like 14 milliseconds, and then on the AK only 7. You're losing 37 milliseconds of time to kill, which takes your gun from the fastest to now being a little bit below average. When you factor in those headshots, this is where time to kill is a huge number in my opinion. So this factor right here alone is why I have the Fennec and the Cold MP5 easily as the 2 worst guns, because time to kill wise, bullet velocity wise, they don't happen. And with the Cold MP5, the task force makes your bullet velocity better and recoil worse. So there's no real good class setup for the Cold MP5. So when we go back and take a look at the overall chart, time to kill wise, obviously Cold MP5, Fennec are the top 2. Modern Warfare MP5 is a close second. PPSH is godly in the top 4 up to a godly base range. The next factor I want to take a look at is if you include one headshot. This is in their base range. With one headshot, the 3 guns that are affected is the LC-10, the 74U, and the Modern Warfare MP5. And this number alone is why the Modern Warfare MP5 is a top 3 gun in a class of its own. Best hip fire, good recoil. One headshot, this gun kills faster than any gun by a lot at 450 milliseconds. The 74U goes from being on the low end to now being a top fast killing SMG. Then obviously LC-10 lowers, which helps it because it's very accurate. Extremely easy to hit headshots. When you take a look at the next number, which is going to be with 2 headshots, the Bullfrog, the Fennec, and the Cold MP5 all improve. And then once again, the 74U is improved again. So with 1 headshot or 2 headshots, your time to kill lowers, which is why this gun is godly in the close range. It's a headshot machine. It's incredible. The fact you'll see here is the MAC-10 still hasn't dropped. And then obviously with the PPSH, it still hasn't dropped. The PPSH is now the second slowest killing gun without headshots included, which is a huge negative for it, but it's good across the board. So it takes 3 headshots to lower time to kill the MAC-10. If you factor in 3 headshots, the LC-10 lowers again. So headshot wise, the Modern Warfare MP5 gets a huge bonus. Obviously the 74U gets the biggest bonus, and then the LC-10 gets a huge bonus because it's 1 headshot. So when you basically factor all those numbers in, want to take a look next is where I'm going to be ranking these guns. So like I said, we're not going to compare them to each other, like all 8 against each other. We're going to compare them mid-range, close range, and long range. So obviously in the close range, you have the Modern Warfare MP5, the Fennec, the Cold MP5, and the 74U. In my opinion, close range SMG, it's godly hipfire, good recoil, good mobility. It's just good across the board. It's good in every single thing. With a close second, I have the AK-74U. It is clearly a headshot machine. Depending on how you build it, you can get a godly bullet velocity. Even if you take off like the Liberator and run the task force, take up the task force, run the Liberator, your time to kill is going to be godly. And with the bullet velocity it has over a lot of these guns, which I don't know why they nerfed it, it is in my opinion the second best close range SMG. I do think the Fennec is excellent. Time to kill wise, it's godly, but being a Modern Warfare weapon adding all these attachments on here that just chunk your ADS, that chunk everything. Merc foregrip, they all just lower your overall mobility. This gun is terrible mobility wise. It's almost an AR level, and at that point you're literally better off just using the XM4 because it's the same, a similar time to kill, just better. So the Fennec is the worst gun in my opinion for the SMG category, followed closely by the Coldor MP5. The biggest negative for me is even if you try and stack all these attachments together to give you the best whatever you're looking for, it just doesn't compete. The best class of these other guns are godly mobility, godly range something. This gun, to get the best class setup possible, chunks your recoil, which makes it extremely hard to hit shots. So Coldor MP5 is easily, in my opinion, the 7th best SMG, followed by the Fennec at 8. Modern MP5 is easily, in my opinion, top 2. I think the only gun that competes with it directly head-to-head is going to be the LC-10. The LC-10 does everything, and it does everything well. Good velocity, best range, best recoil, straight speed is average, and headshots, this gun's godly. One headshot lowers your time to kill, which 100% you can do with the overall accuracy it has. I think this is the best SMG right now in Warzone, and definitely going to be my go-to moving forward after researching all these other guns. The other gun that competes with it is the PPSH. It's just good everywhere. It does everything, and it does everything well besides headshots. Mobility-wise, average. Range, excellent. Time to kill, excellent. It's just good across the board. So top 3 SMG, Modern P5, LC-10, PPSH, followed closely by the MAC-10. The biggest bonus this gun has is mobility-wise, there's nothing that can compete with it. Even if you take off the agency suppressor, which is going to make your ADS even faster, and you put on a striker grip, which improves your hip fire, something like that, mobility-wise, this gun would be godly. And that is why it's an excellent weapon. There's nothing that can compete with it. There's nothing that can stack up to it mobility-wise, which is why I have it easily in my top 4. And then, like I said, the last and final gun would be the Bullfrog. I understand why it's popular. It has a 50-round mag to start. Therefore, you can always add a different something to improve you, give you 6 attachments. I'm just not a fan of it. It doesn't kill as fast. The nerf they did to it, they lowered the damage. I think they lowered the bullet velocity. They lowered the damage. And it just got chunked hard. They improved a lot of the other things about it, but the damage and the bullet velocity lower just makes it took this gun from being top tier to just being average in my opinion. So easily top 3 guns would be LC-10, PPSH, Modern P5. The MAC-10 is still and always going to be my go-to. Mobility-wise, there's nothing that can compete with it. That's pretty much it for the video. Hopefully, you guys something new. Hopefully, something did help you out. Like I said, leave a comment down below. What is your favorite SMG? If you guys did enjoy, make sure you hit the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed. I'll see you.